Messi. Messi. Oh my goodness. Balotelli. Aguero. Oh, that is extraordinary. What a head strike. What a hit. Back of the net.
Yes, this is the Not a Pundit podcast, and it's a very, very special episode because we are doing our transfer window review. Players came in, players went out, teams changed and won, and some even lost. But we are here to be the definitive guide on whether it was good or whether it was bad for teams. I'm delighted to be joined, as ever, by the insightful Conor Glennon and the irreplaceable Nathan Byrne. Gentlemen, how are we doing?
I'm insightful. Ooh, I like this. I like the sound of that. No, I'm good, man. Can't complain. Big win for Newcastle the weekend. Didn't like seeing Ange get done, but I'll take a win where I can get it. How are you, Nate? I mean, are you doing okay over there?
Yeah, I'm doing okay. Hanging in there, I say. But yeah, talking about transfers today, and I must say, I feel like I'm going to be the positive one out of the bunch. So all good for me.
How are you doing, Killian?
I'm doing well. Sunderland are absolutely killing it. Our transfer window was absolutely wild. Considering we're not going to be talking about Sunderland in for the rest of the episode, I'm going to take my 2 little minutes here. We brought in a lot of young players, lots of players that we had no right of being really in the mix for, but we got them. And some of the rumors coming out after the fact of the players that we were not only chasing but was actually in negotiations with is insane. Naby Keita,
Surely that just came down to money.
probably that we wouldn't break the structure, but the fact that like there was serious discussions going on, and Gift Orban, like
Jesus.
that went down to the wire. Like
This is woodwork tactics where the window ends and they're like, we were in for Cruz, we're in
no,
for Potter.
no, the Gift Orban one was a big thing on transfer deadline day, and that was actually being negotiated. And then the Naby Keita one didn't come out from Sunderland at all. That came out when he's making a move to Turkey. That they were like, yeah, he's going to go make a move to Turkey because a deal to Sunderland fell through before the transfer window ended. And all the Sunderland fans were like, what? We were in for him?
Take the club out of it. Him in the championship is wild.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Like,
What
it's not long
a
ago
quick-
he was a £60 million player.
Yeah, what a quick drop, like from his time at Leipzig, like where
Oh,
people were
insane.
like, he's like lightning, like, and then the Liverpool thing didn't work for one reason or another, through the injury maybe, or he just wasn't up to it. But
I just don't think that fit. It was one of them, you know.
but like, yeah, you'd think like he'd go back to the Bundesliga and be able to hold his own.
Yeah.
And he hasn't been able to, which is it's kind of sad to see. And then like one thing that I love about Sunderland at the minute is we're buying players for 2 years for 2 years time. Like I don't know, it sounds bad, but we're now getting the payoff of like 2 years ago. So we're now in the rotation of like for the next 2 years we should be getting development. We sold Jack Clark. People weren't happy with the fee. We already had a built-in replacement for him in Mundell.
What was the fee in the end?
It'll end up being up to 20 million.
I mean, that's not terrible.
It's not terrible.
It
but
did look a bit low on paper, like for the push up to the Prem. Like even I think I put in the group chat at the time. I was like, that seems a bit low. Like
I mean, you'd expect, like, I couldn't see it being more than 30, early 30s.
yeah, so like basically what it ended up being is an upfront fee of around £15 million, but we have a 25% sell-on clause to Tottenham, which they're getting of that, and then another 5 million in add-ons that are apparently nailed on.
So you'll get the money in the long run if he pans out.
Yeah, so it still only end up being about 15 million, which isn't great, but when like we have two of the league's best fullbacks and they cost us less than 2 million for the two of them.
Well, I have to say, like, I hate saying it, but you guys are looking good this year.
Like, yeah, Reggie Labrie, what a man. I would eat him up like cheese. But we're not here to eat Sunderland's whole any longer. We are going to rank the Premier League teams' transfer windows. And how we are going to do this, myself and the guys have a little thing here in front of us. We have our tiers: 5-star, 4-star, 3-star, 2-star, 1-star, and even a 0-star. we're going to go through these teams alphabetically. We're going to discuss the incomings, the outgoings, the transfer fees in and outgoings. Like, did they get value or not? And overall, are the teams been strengthened by this window? And based on that, we, between the three of us, have to agree on where we're going to rank these. Which, gentlemen, that's where things could get a little bit testy.
I don't know. I got a feeling now that it's going to be. I think the top and the bottom are going to be relatively nailed on, but I'm intrigued as to who thinks it's a 4, a 3, or a 2. That's the kind of fight for fourth place, I suppose.
And in the words of young Mr. Byrne, we're gonna bore ourselves with transfer because we're gonna get into the nitty gritties, and we're gonna love every second of it because we have at least 3 months to wait, 4 months to wait until we can do it again. So let's revel in the misery. And speaking of misery, let's start with Arsenal FC. Nate, what was your impression of the window overall?
To be honest, coming up to deadline day, I thought it was a bit flat. They were trying for things, trying to get Marino in from Sociedad. They got the guy in from Bologna, the centre back, Calafiori, and then they just spring on deadline day. They were like, "Let's get the Neto deal over the line," which is a loan from Bournemouth. Which, to be honest, doesn't seem like the worst deal. 35 years old. He's a good backup to have, I suppose, with Ramsdale going out. And then Raheem Sterling. Now, I don't know the inner details of the Sterling deal, whether it's a huge wage, whether Chelsea were just trying to slog him out or whatever. But to me, that seems like a good spread added to a really good Arsenal team.
I
So
think
yeah,
you're right, man. I think the Sterling business was for 35 million. That's an absolute bargain, you know. Like, well, as in, sorry, 35 million market value player. That's an absolute bargain. Get him on a loan with an obligation to buy. Do we know the fee on the buy?
I don't, but I just think like unless they're paying a huge wage fee on it, like it just seems like a really smart piece of business to do. And to be honest, I was hoping United did it towards deadline day. So yeah, I think for the ends, it's really positive. What do you think, Gillian?
I think it was fine. Did this strengthen? Sort of. I think Sterling is one of them kind of deals that he'll either be amazing
Or flop?
or meh.
Yeah.
Like he could be a Higuain at Chelsea, or he could be like absolutely fantastic. Like Higuain was just fine, if you know what I mean. Like he was,
It was a tick the box transfer. You
yeah,
expected a hell of a lot more. He wasn't horrendous. He didn't set the world alight. It just was what it was.
yeah, and I think it could be kind of like that. Obviously, even if you're only paying half his wages for Arsenal, that's still a large wage. I think the Mikel Moreno move is kind of just not good, considering like he's already injured.
Better
Is
options out there for 50 mil.
is it good in terms of like just reinforcing that behind Declan Rice? Like I think once he's fit, that deal will look quite favourable in my opinion. Like whether he's like a standout player that can push himself into the first team, I don't think. But I think to add that reinforcement to the team is really good. And then Cali Fiore for 45 million. I don't, to be honest, I don't know much about him, but 45 million is quite a high fee. But if they're paying that much, you hope he's a player that can really push in and strengthen that side.
Yeah, and at 22, like in this market, 45 is not bad at all. I think in their outgoings, I think that's where the kind of where it kind of really levels out. Losing Smith Rowe, it's not going to lose you a league, but it's another like handy stopgap utility player gone. Ramsdale being gone, after all of Arteta's talk of no, you're supposed to have two first team players. Um, well, you obviously don't agree with what you were saying last year. And then Nketiah, I'm actually delighted for Nketiah for himself
Same.
because like he was just being wasted there. And to go to Palace, I think that was good. Like I can't say it was a good window for them, but I can't say it was bad either.
It was
Like
a very Arsenal window.
yeah,
Do you think that fee for Nketiah now, like he did go off and have a really positive loan move, is 30 million euro? That seems like quite a low fee for a 25-year-old English striker.
I think he kind of went under the radar. I think there was questions about him. I think that's where that's at, and I think give it 2 years, that'll either look like a completely overinflated cost or a bargain.
Yeah, I agree.
it's kind of what you'd expect now for an English player with any sort of goal scoring minimum ability shown in the Premier League. Like
Yeah,
there's
but if Solanke's going for 70, like 30 looks like a bargain for Nketiah, you know what I mean?
100%.
Like,
We should say as well, Arthur Okonkwo free transfers for anyone who watches Wrexham. That's a solid move for them. That should solidify them in the number one position.
yeah, like I think they haven't like they haven't lost any key players, being the most important thing. And they did get Raya in on a permanent, so they can at least build around them. Yeah, I think it's a 3-star window. What do you think?
I would be. You took the words out of my mouth. I think it's like it could be worse. It could be better. It's the most middle of the road one you're gonna get.
What are you thinking, Nate?
yeah, I think if they got a bit higher fees on the outs, I would have maybe pushed it to a 4-star, but I do agree with a 3-star.
I really like Edu, and I think he's doing good work over there. But if I was an Arsenal fan, it's a fairly underwhelming window, bar the Sterling piece.
Yeah, like I don't think it's gonna make them be any more competitive against City than they were last year. So we're all agreed. 3-star.
Yeah.
That's Arsenal. Aston Villa. Now this is a really interesting one, Connor. They spent a lot of money.
They spent a lot of money, but I have to give it to them. They spread it out across a lot of players. You look at Amadou Onana for just shy of 60 million euro. I mean, I think that's an absolute bargain. Ian Matson, I don't know him well enough, if I'm honest, on that one. So the 44 million price tag does put eyes on him. Then you look at, the likes of Cameron Archer, Philogene, Junior, Dobbin, they're bringing in good players there. Ross Barkley, I think, is an interesting one. 5.9 million. I know he's 30, but I think that could work well.
As long as he's willing to be a backup.
Yeah.
Like if there's a younger player or a better player that's doing better, as long as he's willing to go, yeah, that's fine. You run there and you do that, and I'm here for whenever you need me. He's one of them kind of players, Nate, that he could explode in February and have a really good month, and that just might be when they need him.
100%, yeah. It's just adding more depth to a very consistent Aston Villa side. My only thing with, say, the top two deals in Amadou Onana and Ian Madison is the price is looking a bit inflated. Specifically for Madison, I know he's a 22-year-old, very young. It just feels a bit like Chelsea might have won out of that one. But I think as a spread over all the transfers, it looks like a really good bit of business. And to get 60 million for Diaby, I know it's a Saudi, that's a good bit of business. And the only thing I'd say was, to me, losing Douglas Luiz looks like a bit of a big loss. Could that come back to bite them?
I think that sets a tone for their season.
Yeah, like Onana, like he doesn't strike me as the like to like player that Douglas Luiz is. I know people go they're both defensive midfielders, but specifically for everything he played that bit further up, that really worked for him. And I just think they've sort of lost their anchor. So to me, I'm middle of the road for Aston Villa. How about you, Kidding?
Their transfer net spend was 30 million.
That's impressive.
Like I think that has to be really taken into account. Like, they lost two important players. Like, I don't think Musa Diaby was going to make or break them, but he was getting lots of minutes, so it's still somebody you have to replace. And then Douglas Luiz was kind of the heartbeat of their midfield. I think they've pretty much gotten the deals over the line that you would expect them to have replaced.
Onana was a big one. I
Yeah,
think that was outside of what I think the fans could have expected.
yeah, and like if you're having him instead of Douglas Luiz, like there's a few players that you can kind of go, well, actually, yeah, he might be able to do it. Matheson looks to be quality. A lot of money. Then you have the likes of Ealing Jr. from Juventus. Not a lot of money, young player, worth a gamble. And with the likes of Emery being there and what he's done with the team so far, the team was already solid. He's strengthened in areas that needed to strengthen and added the depth, which is, I think, where they've kind of got their fall offs more so than any lack of quality or anything. Yeah, I think it's a very, very solid window. I think they got a good value out of it, and could be a 4-star window.
I'm thinking three. The only reason I'd be saying four is on paper it only cost them 30 mil, and they got a lot of players in. What are you saying, Nate?
I think I'm leaning towards a 4-star window.
Really? Okay.
Yeah. Um,
Like, they started well. They have 2 wins.
it's one we can maybe look back at the end. Maybe it's a bit deceiving us because it's so early on, but I just think for the spread and like just the churn in players going in and out, I think it's number one. Whoever directed that window has done a fantastic job, and number two, I just think it's just adding that freshness to the squad. That Killian said is already a very solid frame.
And then, like, they've done clever things like Cameron Archer. Like, they had sold him to Sheffield United, included the buyback. They activated the buyback and then turned a profit on him again.
Yeah, I that's the one I like. When I was running through, my notes before this, I saw him and I was like, he's in, he's out, he's in. I was like, oh right, okay.
So, like, they are playing the transfer game, and they've started well. And like, they have some young players that they may be a success next year. But in the building blocks now. Plus, let's not forget they got the likes of Felipe Coutinho out, only on loan, but they got him out. So, like, that has to be a plus for them as well.
100%. Yeah. So
Um, so what are we saying, lads?
I'm saying 4-star.
You've won me over. I'll give you four. I do think it's it's a 3.5 if I'm honest, but yeah, I'll give you the four.
Yeah, unfortunately, that's not an option on the program that we're using. Bournemouth, Nate. Initial
Now,
impressions.
Bournemouth have excited me, lads. Bournemouth has excited me. These are the sort of players that have been like on the cusp of some really big moves.
Mm.
It's clearly someone at Bournemouth's gone out and done a lot of research, and I'm
Or plays a
really
lot of football manager.
I'm really liking the players they brought in. Evan Nielsen, like this guy, like I swear he's been touted going to Tottenham for 70 million for like the last three summers. If he can get going in a Bournemouth side, I think he can be a really good top scorer. And I think to replace someone so vital to Bournemouth that Solanke was, I think Evan Nielsen's a really positive pickup. Um, Now I'm actually going to jump down to the fourth name on the list here is someone that's really highly touted. For 15 million from Juventus looks like an absolute steal. This guy looks insane. He's Lads, you'll see him on the ball. You don't think he's a centre back. Genuinely,
This is
he is.
Dean Huijsen.
Yeah, Dean Houston from Juventus, a top prospect coming through. I think Bournemouth have got themselves a player who's hopefully going to develop with them and go for a huge fee in the next couple of years. So he's one that really excites me.
What I like what Bournemouth have done when you look through kind of the transfers they brought in 24, 25, 27, 19, 23, 21. Like they're buying for the most part very young.
100%. And
And let's not forget, like they're also dining at a much higher table than they should be. Like they have Kepa in on loan. Yes, it's a loan, but it's still Kepa. Like this guy was 70 million euro goalkeeper not too long ago. They're getting players from Porto, Juventus, Getafe. Like it's a youngster from Barcelona in Julian Arano, but still, like
I think it's a really good spread, and like even Sinister coming in from Leeds, like he's looked like a very impactful player for Leeds. Um, I'm sure it's someone that they didn't want to get rid of. So like I think as a whole, like as a group coming through in the 2024 transfer window, it's to me it's a very good group. And the thing I like is Bournemouth showing some desire to get moving. Like they sold Solanke for a huge fee. They didn't just sit in the money; they reinvested it,
Mm.
and to me that's really positive.
And you
and
don't see a lot
Oliver,
of clubs at their level doing that.
yeah, how are you feeling about it, Connor?
It's hard to disagree with you. I think looking at the Solanke thing, like I do think letting Solanke go was a poor decision from a football perspective. But I think when you're getting a fee in of 64 mil euro, it's one of those where, like you said, you could do a lot with that money. When Solanke first left, I was like, okay, that could be the end for Bournemouth. But I think you're right. I think they've bought well. I think they've bought strong. They're planning for the future. Whether it's the Sunderland model of build them up and sell them off, I don't know. But if you can build them up, sell them off, and they play well for you during it, I think it's a win for me, boys. We'll go with you on this one, Killian, in a sec, but I'm going to kick her off and say it's a 4-star window for them.
yeah, this is where I'd be a little bit. I don't know if it's a 3-star or not because they've done well for what they needed. They have a reasonable expenditure, 40 million out of pocket. Like they only lost Solanke, and they have improved on paper. It's a little bit kind of games gone in the sense that like what are all these international and exotic players doing in Bournemouth? Um, but yeah, I'd be kind of happy to kind of bow to you guys. I think it's very very good. I just don't know if it's going to pay off for them. If you know what I mean. What are you saying, Nate?
Whether
What's
it
your
pays
rating?
off for them is one thing. I think based on the ownership of the club and whoever's running it going out and buying and having that vision, I just think the players they brought in is just very proactive. It's not these players that are bouncing through the leagues and you're like, let me pick up a deal here. It's like they've really gone out and gone, okay, whether these are players we can sell in the future or what, it's a good group. So personally, I think I'd be leaning towards a 4-star, lads. I can't
The
lie.
only reason I'm saying 4-star as well is if we're saying Arsenal's was very meh, that transfer window's far from meh.
Yeah, it's exciting. Yeah, I'll give you that. Yeah, okay. Let's say 4-star for Bournemouth. But speaking of meh, Brentford is next, Connor.
Well,
Um,
before we kick this off, I would just like to congratulate myself for winning one of the awards from our predictions of the season that the biggest flop would be Ivan Toney.
considering did he even play this season? I don't know if we can count that as a win,
I
but
will take a win where I can get one, young man.
you can win the caveat of the year.
No, like I think Tony's where we kick it off from. I mean, at 42 million euro, how the hell has he ended up in Saudi? I don't know why a club in the Premier League hasn't taken a punt on him.
He
Do I love
deserves.
the irony that he thought he was going to Real Madrid when he did that interview with Stephen Bartlett and he's ended up in Saudi? Absolutely. But do I like it for the Premier League? I do not.
Yeah,
I don't think he's that big of a loss.
Well, I
I
don't like him
agree.
as a player, but I think his talent. I think that's his. I know we talked about this before that I think him going to Saudi is him out of the England team, and you boys think he's out of the England team anyway. But
Yeah,
he, he had the ability. We'll put it that way.
he had been the operative thing. He did not like the world on fire coming back from his gambling ban. Let's
Yeah,
just always remember that. Like he has by his own words, a vice that he has to deal with. So like, who knows what could happen in the future? But Brentford didn't need him. he didn't. It wasn't like he came back, fired a load of goals in, and Brentford went, "Thank fuck he's back," because we relied on him so much. They relied on him so much the year before. Last year they proved that they could exist without him. They
I,
got money
I
for
I think you're right. You know, I don't know about you guys, and I don't want to be negative about Brentford, because I do like them as a club. But with a window like that, I think they're going down.
I couldn't agree more.
Oh,
I genuinely think wholly underwhelming window that was. I think for the amount spent, I don't really think they got much back in terms of stretching into the first team. Personally, I think it's more like long plays where we pray we stay in the Premier League and sell these players on for more money in the future. I think giving Liverpool 50 million for Sepp van der Berg and Fabio Carvalho is is an extremely high fee for what you're going to get.
mm,
When you look at the market value, though, lads, right? Igor Thiago, they bought him for 33. He's worth 25. They've overpaid. Vandenberg bought for 23, worth 12. Carvalho bought for 23, worth 14. Gustavo Nunes bought for 12, worth 10. Like, come on.
I just don't see any of these players making a huge impact. Minus Igor Thiago, because I haven't seen him a lot. But personally, just going off it, like Seth Van der Berg, what's he really going to realistically come in and do? I'm not too sure. Fabio Carvalho, young, exciting player. Do I think he's going to add the impact that Brentford need to stay up when their backs against the wall and defending? No. So to me, this is not looking good for Brentford for me. What about you,
I'm
Billy?
saying 1 star window and they go down.
like I think it's one of them kind of ones they didn't strengthen for this year. Like none of them, like they did fine last year. They didn't kick on in the way that you would have hoped, but uh, they had some decent players. So did they improve on any of them positions? No. Did they add cover to them? Yeah, sort of.
But to the same level, like, I think they could have
Yes.
even spent less and got the same caliber, you know?
See, that's the thing is like they got cover, but not cover in the sense that like, oh yeah, if he's injured, we're fine having Fabio Carvalho come in for our first team. It's more kind of like we got cover to give him minutes for next year. Like if they go down, these players will do very well in the championship. Um, yeah, yeah, one or a two.
I think
One and
two's
a
too
half.
kind.
Nate, what do you think?
Um, I think one, just purely because I think if Carvalho and Sepp van der Berg are not at Liverpool, they go for 10 million less each.
Fair. Brentford, 1 star window.
Dun dun
Brighton and
dun.
As
Brighton and Hove Albion.
do we even need to do Brighton at this stage? Like I feel like we just go, yeah, like these lads are going to like
They
I've
need to share
so
the
much
algorithm. They just like,
I've so much trust in the recruitment. It's insane. Like
yeah.
just to kick it off, the Rutler guy that's come in from Leeds. Leeds fans are crying all over
Yeah.
the place about losing this guy. Like genuinely devastated they've lost this guy. 46 million, a bit high, but from what I'm hearing, he's a really good player. The only thing is they're spending a lot of money.
They've spent a lot of money. Their
Yeah.
net expenditure is 182 million.
Which is a hell of a lot of money.
And what's your thoughts on this? Because I could see it two ways. Are they stacking up a bit too much to where it's going to become an issue where they're going to have to rotate a lot of players and a lot of expensive assets? Um,
I'd worry about their, however much money you can spend within a 3 year period.
I wouldn't just because of how much money they've made.
Fair.
But the only thing I'd say is like when you've got someone like Evan Ferguson who's been touted for so much money, it's like, is he now on the fray? Like, is he now on the outside there? Like, do
Well,
you know
when there
what I
was
mean?
talk of him going on loan at the end of the window, I was like, what is happening here?
So
Uh,
like, I'd be worried with how much players they're bringing in.
to be honest, I think what they're doing is they're just preempting some of the moves that are inevitable of happening. I think they're kind of like when you look at the likes of Minta coming in, they've spent a fair bit of money on him. But like in a couple of years' time, he will be worth a lot more than that, based on what Jonathan McKinstry has told us in our interview. And you haven't listened to that, go back and listen to that. He talks about his new gig with the Gambia, where he will be working with Minta, plus managing Sierra Leone through the Ebola crisis, and so much more. Do go back and listen to that wherever you get your podcast, and also on YouTube. So like Minta is a very, very strong prospect, and one that Newcastle felt the impact of kind of going, oh, he was somebody that was exciting for us.
Absolutely, but I think he was a kind of PSR move for us, kind of like an Elliot
He
Anderson.
absolutely, but
But
I mean,
he's could have whacked another 35 minutes on top of him.
Yeah,
not at the minute, but yeah, I know
Well,
what you
in
mean.
terms
Like,
of like you're letting a very good player go for what could turn out to be a very low fee in the future.
yeah.
yeah,
I'd pray we have a percentage of sell on there.
yeah, and like the thing is with Brighton, I think what they've done now is for next summer, whatever whoever stars for them this year, because it's an inevitability at this stage. They're now in a position to let them go. Like, yeah, if you want him, okay, it's fine. We have the regen behind him ready to go. You've never heard of this dude, he's gonna be amazing. Yeah, it is a kind of a little bit of trust in the model. I think Matt O'Reilly is a good signing. Very unfortunate for him to get injured 12 seconds into his debut or whatever it was. I think he lasted 20 minutes. Celtic were devastated to lose him. Um, it's a lot of money, but they're also now consistently in the Prem and the top half of the Prem, and they're getting a lot more exposure. So I think they're finally in a position to be able to do that. And I know what you mean about the 3 year thing, but they also generally don't spend a lot of money.
Can we also appreciate the average age of who they've got is around 22?
Yeah,
One,
like this is what I mean. It's this whatever they spent now will be worth more than that in a couple of years' time.
one thing, lads, real quick, is does the pressure mount up now on Brighton in terms of they've come out and they've spent a lot.
Hmm.
The next 12 months has a lot riding on it. Then
Big time.
do you
Yeah,
know what I mean? Like, because you're going to have to keep the value in these players. So like obviously they've got off to an unreal start, but I think like this is going to be the most pressure Brighton's been under, in my opinion, for a long time. It's like
I think so. I think what this is they've got colossal potential. Um, it's they got to walk the walk. I would kick us off here and say a 4-star window. I'm only saying four because there's no blockbusters there. There's great potential, but we don't know how it's going to even work chemistry wise. So I'm going to say 4-star, boys.
I'd be saying a 3, and the only reason is just the amount of money.
Yeah, the age got me up to 4.
Like if that was 60 million less, you'd be
I'll
kind
be
of
a
going,
given. Yeah.
yeah. It's just and the fact that a lot of these aren't necessarily for this season. I think they'll all play this season. I think they'll all do well this season. Um, they're not signings for this season though. Like, so I'd be happy to say a 3, but I'd be willing to concede a 4 and 8.
I am going to say three purely because I think it's number one, a lot of money, and number two, I think purely the amount of players, um, just adds in a level of unknown around a lot of them. Um, so personally, I'd say three for Brighton.
Yeah, we'll go 3. Um, I want to jump on to Chelsea just because we've kind of looked at some of the smaller teams, and after our chat last week with Ryan, what do we make of their window?
It's been expensive.
That's the one thing that it actually wasn't.
It
Um,
looks it.
yeah, yeah. Their net is 40 million spent.
Okay. Well, yeah, I suppose you do forget the likes of Lewis Hall, Lukaku,
Madison came from
yeah,
them,
Conor Gallagher, yeah.
so like they got money. They got a few dodgy deals, like Angelo going to Saudi, having never played for them, and going for a whole lot more than they spent on him. They got their wage bill down, which is good. Uh, did they strengthen?
I don't think so.
No.
It's
What
a
are you
bit
saying?
like buying players for the crack, isn't it? Like in terms of they're just buying players that they had other good talents in. Like it's like will Neto play? Yeah, he's experienced, got a lot of experience. 60 million.
It
Could I
really annoyed me that he went to.
could I see other teams paying 60 million for him? Yes, but my thing is, does Chelsea need to spend 60 million on a Neto? Probably not. Um, yeah, Felix to me just is a funny transfer because it didn't work last time. So like,
Agreed.
let's strap in again. And Dewsbury Hall,
That's one they don't need, man. They just don't
they
need.
don't need him, and he whacks me as a Spurs signing for some reason.
Yeah, he does. He stinks of it. Yeah.
Um, like it's a bit like the cheaper Conor Gallagher, isn't it? Like,
Yeah,
um,
I'd agree.
24 million on another goalkeeper. That's another day at Chelsea. 20 million on another goalkeeper. Yeah, another day at Chelsea. Um, like
You're going through all of these, right? And look at the amount of money they've spent. And yes, Pedro Neto is a fantastic footballer. Felix, still don't know how to pronounce that. Could be amazing, has potential when he wants to be. He's great, but uh, Chelsea fans
oh,
may say something different, but I'm saying 2-star window.
Tosin on a free is a good bit of business in my
Yeah,
opinion.
but then Sancho on loan.
That
Yeah,
Like,
could
how
work.
many
It
left
could
wingers do you
work.
need? How many left wingers do you need?
but lads, I'm not gonna lie. There's about 4 signings there, and then the rest are just like what in the
Yeah, but
you
even the
know.
signings that are there, they paid too much.
Yeah. Like, I think if it was based on outgoings alone, that's a 4-star window. Like, they did good business. They got
See, I disagree,
only
man.
only one that
Yeah,
I would really criticize them for is Conor Gallagher and Lewis Hall if they don't have a proper structure.
I know you guys hate Lukaku, so we won't even go down that road. But
Yeah.
I just don't see it as anything other than a 2-star window. I
but like,
really don't.
what are they trying to achieve here? They saw Ian Matheson, like a really good young left back, like, and then they're just going in and replacing these players with other really young players, and it's like you've already had half of these at your club. Like why are we going around in circles? Like it doesn't make sense. Like for example, Mary Hutchinson, a really good young player. It's like, but then they just got like they sold Mary Hutchinson for this pretty much the same amount that they brought in Dewsbury Hall. It's like it doesn't make sense. Um,
Also, can we just give a shout out to Malang Sarr, the man that Poch didn't even know was at the club has finally left, and he has gone to Lawns.
to be honest, that Dewsbury Hall's looking a lot more like we need an English player in the squad to meet the squad rules.
Oh,
Yeah.
The more I look at it,
100%. I'm saying a 1-star.
I am
Oh,
saying a 2 star.
yeah. I'm saying too.
These are very kind gentlemen.
Yeah, I just don't want to hurt my good friend Ryan's feelings.
He'll come at you again, Nate. Palace. I think this was a decent window for them.
I do too. Yeah. You look at Nketiah, Sarr coming in,
Obviously,
Lacroix.
they lost Olise. That's a big loss. Anderson, they let go, which could kind of go either way, but I think they've replaced them well. They're unknowns, but they should be decent players. They let Johnston go.
11 million for
Um,
Sam Johnston at 31 is good business.
It's decent business, yeah. Jordan Ayew getting a fee for him at all at this stage, and the fact that man is only 32 years old is insane.
He's got that Philip Lam energy. He's just been around for your whole life.
Yeah, no, he's a lot. He's more like Jesse Lingard. That kind of like how like you were still a child, but also you're 32 and you've been around forever.
I think the Chalobah coming in at centre back on
That's
loan is a strong one.
that's really bloody good. Yeah, I think this is a very solid window, Nate.
Yeah, the only thing I'd say is coming out with profit when, say, a Brentford is coming out maybe 30 million in a negative, say a Brighton coming out 182 million in a negative. Did is their performance left on the table there? You know what I mean?
Now, like, don't forget they got Kamada in on a free.
Yeah,
Arguably in this market, he could have easily ate their profit.
yeah, but there's still money on the table, isn't there?
Did they
Like
need to spend it?
I'd say yeah. When your competitors around you are spending so much, which we've seen, like it just to me, it's like if I say I was a Crystal Palace fan, I'd be like, can we not put them funds to use a bit? But I think the business around it has been very positive.
Yeah, I'm just kind of like, for what they needed, did they need to buy any more players? I'm not convinced. Maybe, but I think that was a perfectly good window for them.
I mean, it was better than average. Between the Nketiah deal, Chalobah, and maybe including Sar in there, I would put it as a 3.
I'd
I'd put it
agree.
as a 3 just because losing Olise is such a big loss. And while I think they replaced well, he's too big to replace.
I think a club like Palace, you always get used to losing any semi decent player you have.
Yeah, and they have Eze, but like just as far as a window goes, I think a little bit more could have been done to try and replace him. But
I mean, they did well
I
to
think
keep hold of Gahey too. Let's be real.
yeah, they did.
Gay and Chalobah centre back partnership is exciting.
Like, that's strong.
That's very strong.
That's exciting.
I still think 3 is fair
Yeah,
for
I'd
them.
agree.
Yeah, I'm saying 3 too.
Oh, lads, Everton.
I mean, good to see Jake O'Brien.
It is good to see him in the Premier League. They have 12 players that are contracted beyond this season.
Just 12.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. And they're in a precarious position too.
I
Yeah.
think that club is in a dangerous place. In a very, very
They signed
dangerous place.
Begovic in 2024.
Like, I think there's a more serious conversation to be had at some point whether, could Everton be staring the gun right in the barrel type situation.
I think the conversation's more about, is it, at what stage do you old yeller Everton?
I do think you have to remember, though, boys, that they were. I mean, they're not restricted from a spending ban from like the league, but like their ownership situation is not one that's going to give them money to spend when they're trying to get rid of the club.
Yeah, but
No.
I think the more issue part is in terms of their ownerships aren't helping them. They just bought a really expensive stadium.
Which is going to
Killian
look
said,
fantastic in the championship.
as Killian said, they'll only have 12 players next season if they don't get cracking with that. Is that, to me, if that ownership situation doesn't get sorted very quickly, could be a club that, I don't know, could we see them?
I think it's too. I think even if they sell it before the January window, they'll either, like, from a PSR point of view, what will they be able to spend come January, and is it too late? Like, my big one for you boys is, let alone do Everton go down, which I think is very, very possible, but is Daishi still there at the end of the year?
I don't like the fact that he's starting to blame players.
This is
not
what
a
I'm
good
getting at.
sign.
It's uncharacteristic to him.
Yeah. I think this is a team that's just dying for the January transfer window already. If they have owners, all the better. I think they're potentially weaker than they were last year. They did keep a hold of Branthwaite, which is good. Broya up front on loan is good. O'Brien is decent, but like Onana was a big, big loss for them,
Big
and
time.
especially in a Daishi team.
I can't get it in my head now that I've thought it. It's like, is Everton at the risk of going bankrupt?
I wouldn't say bankrupt. If we say bankrupt, like, someone will save them.
Boy, is there enough time to save them? Is my thing.
I think there is, but
Like-
like you're relying on another big spender coming in.
Oh, who actually gives a shit?
Yeah, and doesn't have Russian oligarch money.
I'd be very worried if I was an Everton
I'm saying
yeah.
1-star window.
fan.
1 or 2, just because of the shackles that are on there.
Yeah, I'll give you that. Okay, with the shackles, it's on him too.
I'm happy to say a 1 though, Nate, if that's what you're going, if you're leaning
Okay,
towards.
my thing is they got offered a lot of money for Brantwaite during the summer.
Mm-hmm.
Should they sell him?
I mean, he's going to go next year anyway.
Yeah, I think they would have got a better
Well,
fee this year,
like,
and
is he
they
going to be?
brought
Yeah,
in players to replace him.
is he going to
So,
be a lot cheaper next year because they
Probably because they know it'll be a clearance sale, and because they'll probably go down, and if they don't go down, they'll barely stay up, and he ain't hanging around.
like, imagine they could have sold him to Newcastle for 70, and could have probably got in Trevor Chalobah for less than 30.
United would have paid the same.
we
Yeah,
were
but
trying to.
yeah, like between Newcastle or United, both of them were looking for that type of a player. Like if Newcastle thought there was an option after the Gahey deal fell apart, I think they would have probably went for him.
Next season, he goes 40, 45 million.
If they
I-
get 40 for him next year, they're doing very well.
I'd say 1 star, basic,
Yeah.
purely
Yeah.
on the Brantwaite stuff.
1 star Everton, Fulham.
This is an interesting one now.
They lost a big player in Paulinho.
They did.
They lost handy players in the likes of like Willian and Congolo. They lost a big player in Tosin on a free. But they did get good players in.
Emile Smith Rowe is a canny piece of business.
Anderson is a very good, solid centre back signing. I think he's. I think they've actually replaced Tosin for a nearly like for like non-worryable replacement. If you know what I mean. There is no testing here. He'll fit in.
My thing is, I think they've down. Like, I think the team's gotten worse this summer.
Wow. Worse. I would have said same with the addition of Smith Rowe.
I just think when you lose Paulinia and how much you brought that side, it's like I need to see a bit more to go. Like, okay, we've recovered the loss and got that bit better. To me, I'd like say Nelson, Smith Rowe, good players that come through Arsenal. If things go bad at Fulham, do they have the grit to keep them in the Premier League? I don't know. To me, I don't think they've improved this summer. That's my personal opinion, but I can see how people could think they could have.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Like, I don't think they're going to get in any better position for what they've done. But I do think they got one of the signings. They made one of the deals of the summer. Jay Stansfield going to Birmingham for over £15 million.
That's wild.
Woke has ruined football. 2 or 3 star.
I was going to say 1 or 2. I'm saying 2.
Yeah, like I think, like I don't think they've gotten worse. I think it was a sideways move. Yeah, with a few question marks over players, but I think it's a sideways move. I think 2.
I think 2.
I'll go with 2.
Cool. So that's Fulham, Liverpool, Ipswich.
Fulham. That sounds like a team I'd like in Serie B.
Ipswich Town, gents. They've spent a lot of money for newbies.
They have. And I mean, I feel like you're going to slate them because your boy Jack Clark went there.
No, they got a good player in him. I think they're already using him wrong. They're not giving him any trust. They're not playing him in the way that you get the best out of him. Omari Hutchinson, good young player, relative unknown. Liam Delap could go either way. Dara O'Shea, we know, is
Smodics for
solid.
10 mil is very good.
That's very, very good business. Ugbene, I think, is actually a savvy little deal. Not as a starter, but to have somebody like him in your team.
There's a tasty Irish contingent over there.
Over here, like, what's this?
Yeah. And then Calvin Phillips, could go either way. He didn't push on in the way that I expected he would.
I don't hate that. I don't hate that move.
I just want to see him actually try, though. I don't like he's getting his chance to play some ball, go at it ham, you know?
Yeah, lads, I'm gonna I think it's a very good window from Ipswich, just purely because I think they've moved a championship quality side to more closer to a Premier League side.
But is it a Premier League quality side now, though?
I
don't
think
it is.
this
Yeah.
stinks of Wigan when they first came up.
I don't. I disagree.
I mean that in
I-
a positive way. Like I mean
I-
that as I think the moves they've made could potentially keep them up.
Like
Yeah,
I'm
like
teetering between a 2 and a 3, but I think I'm closer to a 2.
For some reason
I
my,
think
my
I'm
brain
closer
won't let me
to
say
a 3.
3.
I think I'm closer to a 3.
What?
Like
Give me the why. Is it the Smodics? Is it who?
I just think there's a really like. So they've come up. They've had money to play with. They haven't gone and splash it on 2, 3, 4 players. They've even
Paid
out.
reasonable fees for everybody.
Yeah, and they've even out across the board. I just think it's a good squad now for the Premier League in my opinion.
To be fair to them, it's not like they'd personnel to sell, so they had to be smart.
Yeah.
Like like I know say Nottingham Forest isn't the one to go against, but like with the amount of money they spend, it's like is their squads that much different now? Like I don't think so. Um,
Yeah, fair.
I'd probably be a 3, but I understand.
I'll give you the 3 because I think, like we were saying, they have strengthened very well. And to be fair, if we're putting Chelsea at a 2, Ipswich had a better window than Chelsea did comparatively.
Yeah, and like from where they were to where they are now, yeah, I 3. Then we have Leicester City, who just got cleared of their points deduction. They won their appeal.
Saw that. That's gonna ruffle a few feathers now.
Yeah, but they signed one of my football manager favorites from last season, Bilal El Kanous. 20 million. I think that's very, very savvy. They bought Jordan Ayew as if this is 2015. Ollie Skip at over 20 million is a lot of money.
That's far too much.
Jordan
But
Ayew,
Edouard on a
Jesus.
loan is good. What do you think?
Jordan Ayew, like
I think this is I think this is an open and shut. Sorry to cut across, I think this is an open and shut 1-star window.
Oh, I
like
don't think it's a 1.
I think they are prepared to go back down.
Yeah, I do too.
Like this screams to me as a summer. Like we need lads to bring back down to us. Like
Like they
genuinely,
they let Ian Acho go on a free and paid money for Ayew.
I
That
I'm
nearly deserves a 1 by itself.
I'm thinking 1-star just because like these signings reek as like we need good players to go back and down into the
I
championship.
really think and I think they're doing it in with the prices they're paying. It's because they can at this moment in time, and they know when they go back down to the championship they can't. I fully think they're just preparing to go back down.
I'll
And
put it to you this way, and I'll let you two decide on the star. Did they get value for money? Have they strengthened where they needed to strengthen?
strengthen, no. Value for money, no. Like, I'm sorry, if you spend nearly €6 million on Jordan Ayew, you're getting a 1-star.
Fair enough. That's a 1-star window for Leicester City.
But like, am I got mad, or does that look like we are getting ready to go back down?
No, it 100% is. Like, it absolutely is. They got, like, the Drewsbury Hall was the sacrificial lamb to pay for what's going to be their championship squad next year.
Like they're coming straight back up, but you're going down.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. Liverpool. I
That's
think
pretty good.
There's loads to talk about here, isn't there?
I think it was not a bad window from them because they didn't necessarily need to strengthen a whole lot of places.
It's
But
the least movement from a team I've ever seen, though. Like, both in and out.
Other than Tottenham that year with Poch, where they literally didn't do anything.
Oh, yeah.
But like they got Chiesa in, good,
Yeah.
and
What
got
are
a very
you
good money
Juventus
for him.
smoking? Like 12 million.
See, what that says to me is I know they put him out of the plans in a Chelsea kind of way, which I don't like, and it's becoming more of a thing in football, but is that like a Tonali thing where they know something?
I think it's actually just his injury record.
Right.
But 12 million's crazy. Or
Why all other clubs weren't fighting for him at 12 million, I don't know.
mate, they sold
Yeah.
Sepp van der Berg for 23. Like, come on.
They got in the Georgian goalkeeper who was very, very good at the Euros from Valencia. They didn't need him.
Yeah, it's a bit. I was discussing this with someone like a couple of days ago. I was like, it's a bit of a weird one. It's like it leaves number one, it leaves Allison a bit in no man's land. It's like, did he even want me to continue?
But there's
Like,
talk of Saudi there.
yeah, but he sort of put that to bed. Like, um,
Will he now be pushed into it, regardless?
yeah, it's good future planning, isn't it? So I can't really dock them on that.
The only
It's
position I thought they
just
needed to strengthen, though, was defensive midfield, and they didn't do that. And maybe a centre
Well,
back.
also, lads, they're going into a season where they've got Van Dijk, Trent, and Salah in the last years of their contract. And have they replaced them? No. And if those players leave, they will be absolutely murdered next summer trying to replace them.
Yeah. Does a Trent move to Real Madrid become a lot more likelier a year further on we go? Like it does feel like they could be caught out in one summer. Do you know what I mean? Like very badly. Um, I just think like, did they need a future proof goalkeeper? I don't know.
But they Kelleher, another bloody year where he's now stuck on the bench. Like,
Yeah, 100. Like, and they could have got a fee like from
They got
100%.
a
Like,
good fee.
but in terms of like, I would like to see them bring in another centre back. Like they were looking at Lenny Euro. It's like that move doesn't pay off for them. Like, do they not have anyone else that they like?
you know what's really hard with this one, lads? Because obviously Liverpool have a very strong squad. They didn't. Did they do what they needed to do to future-proof themselves? No. Are they going into this season fine? Absolutely, yes. I really don't know where to put this on. Like, is it a 3 because they just didn't need to do anything?
Yeah, I'd be a 3 or a 2.
2 would probably just because you're let down.
Yeah, just because they didn't strengthen in the way that they needed to.
What are you saying, Knight?
I'll go.
But I think I'd be
3.
closer. I'd be closer to a 3 than a 2.
2 actually.
Let's go
Yeah.
2. So
Oof. Slightly harsh, but
Like
understandably so.
I would like to see one more player. Do you know what I mean?
not even a marquee
Well,
signing, just
I
someone.
personally wouldn't like to see it, but I like
Yeah.
like
Like if they had gotten in a backup centre back, you'd kind of go, okay,
yeah.
you did kind of move in the direction you need to do. City is a very weird one. If it was like on outgoings alone, 5-star.
I was going to say,
But like Savinio and Gundogan,
Gundogan is. I'm big. I like free transfer. Gundogan. What is to lose? Fans love him. Players love him. He's like a manager on the pitch. He's going to be a
what's to
utility
lose?
player. But like
What's to lose is the next Cole Palmer because you have no opportunity for somebody else to come in now.
well, yeah.
So like you're cutting your nose off to spite your face. Like in the year that they're selling like Tommy Doyle and like loaning out Calvin Phillips, they're bringing in 33-year-old Gundogan who's going to be on massive wages. I think I don't think they needed to strengthen anywhere, but it's like,
This allegedly stinks like cooking the books. Like it really does. Like whether they're trying to get back in the period or something. Like 141 income. Like that's crazy.
yeah, a net profit of 116
Like
million.
that's crazy. And for Pep to not go like, oh here lads, give me another left back or something. Like yeah, it seems like allegedly again they're trying to cook the books for something.
See. This is again a Liverpool situation. Like it's a 2 or a 3, but I don't know what way you cut it. But I think it's got to be a 3 based off the outgoings
And the fact that they didn't necessarily need to strengthen.
Yeah, like they could go 3 years and not buy anyone, they'd be fine.
You happy enough with 3 now?
Who's their backup striker now?
Me, I'm lining up.
Like if Haaland gets injured, who's?
That's a very good question. I'm having a brain blank here.
Yeah, I'm just opening up their squad here. Like, in the way that they're playing, like, they don't always need a direct backup for Haaland. Like, they don't have a direct striker replacement for him, but they have the likes of Doku, who could go down to Savinio.
is that bad squad planning on Pep's part? You know what I mean? Like an 8 month injury for Haaland. Like, do you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, with that in mind, potentially too.
I know. I think when like you could say the same thing about Liverpool not having an actual striker at all, and then playing Salah in the center. Like with the way their system works, they don't always need an out and out striker.
yeah, I suppose. I go
Like
2 star. That's where I'm at.
I'm at 3.
Oh, lads, you're making this difficult. Uh,
Because it'd be the most pep thing in the world that Bernardo Silva is going to spend 3 months as a false nine and be unbelievable.
yeah, it would actually. Yeah. Okay, right. Go 3.
Boom. Daddy loves me more.
Never call me that again, dear God.
Sorry, Muir, sorry.
It's Nate's United. Nate, how happy were you with this summer?
Number one, I don't want to talk about this team right now, but number two, very
We're
happy.
talking about the team, not the
Yeah,
results.
we'll leave you off.
Very happy. I thought it was a really good, even summer, if that makes sense, in terms of the right things got filled across the board. You don't have that 90 mil player standout, but you've got more even fees across the board, which to me is welcome. Not only have we added some really good talent, like in terms of into the youth setup as well. I think we've added some really good first team prospects like Ugarte, Delict, Mazarari since he's joined on the right hand side has looked unreal for 15 million. Um, so yeah, I've been really happy with it, and then we've also nabbed Cheeto from Arsenal as well. They're raging about that, and we also got a Mali defensive midfielder into the under 21s, but he's going to be on the periphery of the first team, who's looked really good. So yeah, I'm really happy with the business.
I think it was a fantastic window from United. Not a big fan of losing McTominay, but completely get it. He's got Martial, Varane, and Sancho off here as the books. That alone
Yeah.
warrants the fact, and Van der Beek, like that alone warrants a very strong window. But getting Delict, Zerki, and Mazrari alone for 100 million is
I would say, and I really mean this, I think it's probably the best window you've had in
a
7, 8
decade.
years. Yeah, maybe even a decade.
Oh, 100%. Like, I think, like, you hit the head. Like, I know we lost 3-0 last, but, like, the Ligt against Liverpool genuinely looks so comfortable. Like, and I don't think he was at fault for any of it. Like, um,
Sure, you have a block of cement in defensive midfield when Ugarte is not ready to go. So, like,
I know. But, like, I just, like, I'm really positive about the signings. Like, Euro, like, as you said, you mentioned them players we got off the wage bill. All their wages combined pays for Euro himself, and he's a world class talent. Like, so I just think, like, for once we put on the thinking hat and we've gone, like, let's actually do some good business, not get ripped off. And yeah, like Ugarte, I'm really excited to see him, to see how he integrates into this
He's
United
got a
squad.
big job to do.
Um, like 50 million euro, like what's that, like 42 million pounds, like that. Like we would have been paying like 70 million for him back in the day.
Oh,
So
100%. Yeah.
like
that's the level of fee you would expect PSG to be paying for him.
exactly. So it just feels like it feels so nice to get players in where like I feel like before we've brought in probably mediocre players where like they're already on level 10 hype because they've come in for like 65 million pounds or something, you know what I mean?
I,
So
I think, I don't know about you, taking out the Ten Hag issues, Casemiro, not even going down that road, I think straight on paper, if we're being fair, it's a 5-star window.
I would be saying a 5 or a high 4, only because if you had gotten rid of Casemiro, it would have been an absolute nailed on 5. But I'd be
Would have
happy
been a
to give
6.
it a 5. Yeah, I'd be happy to give it a 5. What are you saying, Nate?
five. Just like you knew that was gonna come out of me, but I just like how I feel, like I'm really happy with it.
And from one of our teams to the other, and from one feeling to the other. Connor, your reaction to Newcastle's window?
I'm just gonna like it almost angers me that we had to go from a 5-star to us. Like we're the definition of the 0-star.
Wait,
Like
can we get a profit clap?
like honest to God, like it was the most underwhelming window possible. Like I know we've had changes of people at the top of the club. We've lost Ashworth, Staveley's gone. There's been a lot of movement up there, but like we couldn't even pull off Gahey at the end of the day. Like we offered 65. If we'd offered like 75, it would have just happened. And I would have said, oh, okay, semi good window. But like when you look at like, okay, Lewis Hall, yeah, great, but we knew he was coming anyway. I still can't pronounce this bloke's name. Vlacho Dimas, I think it is.
What a player! I
Pointless.
heard he's unreal.
Backup
Like,
goalkeeper that
I
you
heard he's
spent,
unreal, man.
23 million for him.
Lads,
he's 30.
respect him. Like he's class. I've seen him play a load. Like
Asula from Sheffield United, 11 million. Oh, stunning. Lloyd Kelly, John Ruddy, like and then we lost Elliot Anderson and Yankuba Minta. Like I don't even want to talk
Are
about
you?
it.
Did you get value for money in the players that you bought? No.
No.
Are you better off this season than you were last year? No.
And
Have you
arguably,
worse?
did we even get value for the players that we sold? No.
lads, I'm actually gonna die. They're signing John Ruddy in 2024. This is crazy.
Like that's worse than Jordan Ayew.
Yeah.
Like it is.
Matt Ritchie out the door. Though that's positive. That's
I don't know why, but I always had a soft spot for that dude.
Ryan Fraser out the door. That's positive.
Carrius gone, positive. Jeff Hendrick, bye bye.
All double.
Jamal Lewis becoming like the first British player to play for Sao Paulo was nice.
That's mental.
Just let's move on, boys. 0-star. Just put the nail in the coffin.
But like,
Do you agree, Nate?
yeah. But let me say this: like when we got Ashworth, yeah, and I was like, oh, this is gonna throw like Newcastle's plans like up in the air. Like they're gonna be scrambling. Like I didn't realize he was actually gonna go and do nothing. Like
But like,
It proves that Newcastle were wrong to try and hold on to him because they had no backup. Whereas if they'd let him go sooner, you actually would have been able to get a system in place and maybe be able to recoup some of the window.
but what doesn't make sense to me is like if we were able to offer 65 million and that level of commitment financially, like why couldn't we have gone and got some like even Conor Gallagher? Like like Jesus, it just it defies logic that why were we in a position PSR wise and FFP wise that we had 60, 70, 75 million to spend and we just didn't spend it?
what was
Yes.
Bob Mitchell doing all summer?
Sitting on his arse.
You've literally won the lottery and you can't spend it.
Literally.
It's so good.
Oh, it's 0-star. January can only get better.
Nottingham Forest, Nate. Another summer of lots of money, lots of players in. Are they better off than where they were?
Elliot Anderson for 41 million. Jesus Christ, that is high.
Yeah, not a signing for this year, but they got Ward Prowse in on a loan, which that's
Yeah.
savvy business.
Milenkovic, he's been touted as a good centre back. He hasn't really got his move before, but for 14 million, probably worth a whack. It's a bit like it's just typical Nottingham Forest, isn't it? Like
That's-
just play a lot of players and just let's see what happens.
I think it's similar to the Fulham transfer window. If I'm honest, I think it stinks of a 2-star. Not because it was terrible. It's just meh.
Although selling
Yeah.
that 30-year-old goalkeeper to Newcastle for
Don't
20
even get me started, mate.
like that,
Yeah.
that probably
If they,
come up like
if they didn't spend the full 40 on Anderson and got that 20 million, you would say, yeah, this could be a 3-star, but I'd agree. I think it's generally a 2-star. It doesn't make them any safer than they should be.
yeah.
Southampton,
We're going
I
back down.
They are in trouble. They
they
look very poor.
but they bought good players, which is really annoying. Ronnie Edwards is a great prospect. Uh, it's great to see Bertrand Diaz actually test himself in the Premier League. Ramsdale, I think, is savvy. That young centre back from City is good. Uh, Again, what is with clubs signing 2012 like Adam Lallana and Ryan Fraser coming in? You're not
But
taking this season seriously.
it's like they're they're good signings, yeah, on paper, but they're not Premier League signings, are they? Like Harwood Bellis, highly tipped for Man City. Is he going to keep you in the Premier League? Probably not. Aaron Ramsdale, decent keeper. If you ask Rob Redmond, he tell you he's shite. So like, is he going to keep you? Is he going to keep you in the Premier League? I don't know. Like, but once you get a bit lower, you're like, they're not really the Premier League standard. I'd be saying.
There's a lot of players in there that will be better off the experience of getting a relegation from the Premier League, and after a season of schooling the Championship, they'll be great for a return to the Prem. I think it's a
1 star for me.
Well, one thing. Let's if we're judging United not off how they're playing, we need to do the same with Southampton.
But like, I don't think that's a good swimmer.
I think it's a
I think it's exactly the same. I think it's preparing to go down and to come up again.
I think it's a 2-star.
I'd say 2.
Like
2 or a 1.
Like they're loaning out Bella Kotra. Like is like he was really highly tipped. Like is he any worse than their current centre backs? Like he's going to PSV to play in the Champions League. Like is he any worse? Like
It's
why is he
again, it's a
getting loaned out?
1.5 or a 2.
To me, I would say 1, but I'm happy for whatever.
Just because of where they're coming from and the kind of state of the squad from last year, I'd be kind of saying a 2.
I think Ramsdale was good business.
Yeah.
I think that, and Diaz. It's a shame he's going to be a team that goes down though.
We're going to give it a 2. Spurs.
1.
I'd be damn near tempted.
They spent a lot of money, like so much money
They have a
for
net
so
transfer spend
meh.
of 94 million.
It's so meh, isn't it? Like it's literally like
Archie Gray for 40 million. Like 105 million for Dominic Solanke and Archie Gray.
Spurs
Yeah.
always do this. Like they always spend huge fees on mediocre players because they can't get the cream of the crop. They can spend the
Then-
money when they want to, but they're never getting the money's worth. If that makes sense. Ever.
I think the same level of issues that they have on the incomings they have on the outgoings as well. Like losing Perisic, Sessegnon, and Ndombele, Dyer, Tanganga, all on freeze.
But these are all
then-
players that were signed for huge fees, by the way. Do you
Oh
know
yeah,
what I mean?
but like this is what I mean. Like
it's the
Ndombele
exact
was 60
same.
million.
It's the exact same that they're doing now. Like that's my point. Is like all them players that are going out. It's just they're just repeating the process.
Like Lo Celso, they sold for 5 million.
Like that
They'll
that
have
sums
outflow.
up their window.
2 or a 1.
Emerson Royale.
I can't
best
see
player.
past it being a 1.
Yeah, I'm saying 1. 15 million for Emerson Royale. He's not a great player, but like he's not 15 million.
Well, that was decent business to get 15 million for him.
I,
Like from AC Milan, like they're fools. But I just
Yeah.
don't think they're strengthened in any way. Like you know my feelings on Solanke, Soldado 2.0.
like getting
Um,
Heritage to basically retire, like just to leave the club is crazy. Like
And then like yeah, like they're no better off than they were last year and potentially worse.
yeah,
So-
1 star for me.
As they say, and then there was 2 West Ham boys. What are you saying, Killian?
I think they've signed well. I think they've actually had a good window. I'd be like a 3. I can't say a 4. just
27 million for Fulkrug is a lot.
Yeah. But getting in Wan-Bissaka for 17 is very good.
Yeah, that was good business.
He's a 25 million quid player. They got Tadibo in on loan. That's good business. Soler in on loan, I think, is pretty good. Kilman, they spent a lot of money on, but he
I
is
don't
good.
know enough about him.
Somerville, like what we said about another Leeds signing from Leeds. Somerville Leeds fans are not happy about losing him.
Leeds made bank this summer.
Yeah, but they're also gotten no stronger. They are
Yeah,
not in a good
we
position.
might see Leeds where they like just never come up again.
Yeah, Leeds will be the new Stoke.
Well,
But I think it was a pretty decent window. They didn't lose any big players that they needed to keep. They got money from some players that they were happy to let go.
a question from me is, I think bringing Tadibo in on loan makes Kilman look like a mess. Like,
It does.
that's a lot of money for Kilman, where I much would have rather seen Tadibo brought in permanently.
Yeah,
Right.
they kind of blow their load too early in the
and,
window
like,
on.
is Kilman a €47 million player?
English tax though.
Yeah, but like,
Bear in
I
mind
feel
he's
like-
27 and
I-
Tadibo is 24.
I feel like when you're playing, like when you're saying English tax for a centre back at that price, it's like there had to have immediately been better options on the table. Do you know what I mean?
If he was
Like-
30 million, nobody would question it.
Oh, 100%. But I think that 70 million is sort of telling in a way. Like,
So what do you think?
I think
2 or 3.
3.
3?
Yeah.
If you guys are saying 3, I'll go 3 because there's not much in it for me on that one.
Like, I think they got stronger in positions they kind of needed to get stronger in, and the team from last summer was pretty like the top end of the team was in pretty good shape. So, other than still having Mikel Antonio and relying on him, it's a pretty good move. And finally, Wolverhampton
Oh, this
Wanderers
is a painful one to
FC
look at, isn't it?
Jorge Mendes. Nate, what do you think?
Ooh, it doesn't look great, does it, on paper?
They turned a profit of nearly 40 million.
Yeah, that's my issue with it, is they turned a profit of 40 million. They sold 2, 3 quite influential players on that side and replaced them with no one really stand out. Unless they've cooked with some really good talent here, I'd be worried.
I think Neto is the biggest loss that they're gonna feel.
I think Kilman as well, though.
Yeah,
Like that's a good rock at the back.
yeah, like
Podence as well.
Podence, yeah,
Do we think they stay up?
yeah, but I think
Comfortably?
they stay up. I think they stay up because other teams are worse than them.
I think
That's not saying much.
I think it's getting worrying for them though. Like, I could see it going badly.
I mean,
Uh,
if they do go down and they've made 40 million quid plus a parachute payment, they'll be in a position to come back up.
I'd say 1.
Yeah, it's hard to. It's a 1 or a 2. 1 probably. It's kind of Everton-y ish.
Yeah, I'm just actually looking at their squad here. Totti, Bueno, Mosquera, Miempu, and Craig Dawson is their centre backs. It's not a great.
Doesn't
look.
fill you with confidence.
No.
Not looking good.
Up front, it's like Huang, Larson, Klazadic, Sariba, who is very good. But then they have like players like Guides coming in, who like he's back from Villarreal. He does well elsewhere, doesn't do well here. I think they've done well to get Tommy Doyle in. I think he's astute, but he's an astute champ signing. So I'm happy to agree with you guys. 1. There we have it. We have 5-star, 1-0-star, both of which are playing home games on this podcast. Connor, how do you feel about that list?
I'm pretty happy with that. Like, I think, as expected, I think the majority of them were going to be in that 2 to 3 area, and that's kind of how it's panned out. It's a nice little bell curve.
Nate, what are you saying?
Yeah, finally won something this season. So, right. Yeah. To be honest, I thought it would have been harder, but I think we've hit the nail on the head with majority of them.
Yeah, no, I think we did a decent job. But anybody that is listening, let us know if you agree or not. Are we a little bit too harsh? Are we a little bit too negative? There's a lot more in the bottom half than there is the top half. Or what does that say about the overall transfer window? We can't all be Sunderland. And on that bombshell, gentlemen, we do end it for this week. We will be back next week. As always, don't forget to like, subscribe, leave a rating if you can, and we'll chat to you then.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Messi. Messi. Oh, my goodness. Balotelli.